Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well and thank you so much to those of you that are following me. So for those of you that have recently joined me, then welcome. Please do add in the comments where you're from, as we all like to know whereabouts in the world you are. At the moment, quite interesting that we've got, see, the majority of people from the United Kingdom or United States. And then in terms of the top 10, we've now got some people that are from Israel. 0.3% followers from Israel, 0.4% Netherlands, and then Italy, 0.1%. I guess that means there's one or two followers from Italy. So the first few clips of my video show what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going through one of my cupboards to see what things I could potentially get rid of in one of my 10-minute declutters. I'm cleaning up. I'm sorting out some washing. You'll see me sorting out the kitchen, trying to get my clothes dry, and generally trying to kind of maintain the downstairs of my house. So someone fairly recently put on my channel about how, oh, you've stopped fast forwarding. I haven't. There's no way that I could move this quickly. If you saw it in slow time, you'd see what I actually managed to get done. This is fast forwarded by quite a lot. I think this is 1.5 times at the moment. So you'll soon see, if I was to do it at slow time, you'd realise how long everything takes me. Generally on one of these videos, I mean, sometimes I do, it's forwarded at 2.5 times. So I think one of my last video, the whole video was 2.5 times. And I just, I could have split that into 2 videos really. I managed to get so much done. But I'm trying to keep on top of the washing. So I'm washing more frequently. So you can see I'm putting all the washing out. And I know we have had conversations about getting a heater dryer. I'm still wary about the heater dryer because of the cost and the fact that when my radiators are all on, I might as well be using the radiators. To me, it doesn't seem to be a good use of energy. I've got radiators on in the house and then to plug a heated dryer in to then pay more money for that to dry my clothes when the radiators are still on. Of course, there have been some times I have put the radiators on, but that's really only like in October sort of time, where it's not that cold outside, so the radiators haven't switched in and they haven't come on automatically. And I've got stuff to dry. So I do need to get a new air because this air has broken. It was second hand and then it broke soon after I got it second hand. I think this was the one that I took out of a skip actually. Do you remember me telling you about that lady that I used to do some gardening for? And her son came to sort her bungalow out, and the way he sorted it out was nearly get the entire contents of his mum's bungalow and put it in a skip. Well, there was a couple of things he asked me if I wanted. And then I saw this in the skip and I said, oh, can I have that? He got rid of, the basket, the brown basket that I use as well, the washing basket that I carry around. That was from the skip too. It was a shame some of the things that he was just putting in the bin. Makes you think though, doesn't it? I think because you know how some people do these like death cleans and death declutters. I think that must make people think, well, like, if I died last week, somebody would just come in and give all these things to charity, because there's no way that they can possibly take all your things and bring into their own house, is there? It's just impossible. They just must select a few things to keep. Anyway, you can see the kitchen does look a bit of a mess. So I have had, I've been trying to polish the sink every evening. I've had a few evenings where I just haven't been able to do that. And that's because I've been working, so I've worked all day and I've worked all night, and I just haven't also been able to go and do the washing up afterwards. It's just one of those things really. I have to kind of be kind to myself and think, well, I can't physically do 2 things at once. I am getting to the point where I'm partly wishing I hadn't increased my hours in job 1, because it's now meant that because I'm doing so many hours, if I used to do extra hours, I used to be able to then take them back at a later date flexibly. But I'll not be able to do that now because I'm only just being able to. Job 1 is 22 hours a week, and I guess I'm doing 22 or 23 every week. So it is a bit of a juggle. So I'm definitely decided that by the end of this month, which is getting very soon, I need to complete my forms to apply for holiday. So I'm going to buy holiday in both of my jobs, and I think that will help me, and I'll be able to use those holiday days to help me have some time back and not feel like I'm juggling so much in my school holidays, to make sure that I'm off for my daughter. My husband has been saying to me, well, why don't you just give up one of the jobs? You don't need to do both jobs, so why don't you give one up? But I'm a little bit torn with that. I can't quite decide what to do. So we had a nice weekend. So it was my nephew's 18th birthday, one of my nephew's 18th birthdays. So I've got one nephew that's in his sort of late 20s, one that's just turned 18, and then a couple which are younger. So we were waiting to hear what the plan was. Originally that was going to be going into Norwich. They'd organised to have breakfast, then it changed to lunch, and I said to my husband, you're going to have to message and say that we can't eat in these places because they will not cater for my daughter. And gone are the times, for those of you that have, are aware of anything to do with allergies, or you've got anybody in your family, when the children are younger, it's quite easy to go along with a packed lunch. As the child gets, because you're just feeding the baby or feeding the young toddler, that's accepted. But as the child gets older, it's less and less acceptable. It just becomes much harder. I never forget them. That's obviously how I interpreted it, because we all can choose how we feel. But I can remember in France, I felt really uncomfortable because it was like they thought they didn't understand what was going on. It was like they thought that we were just trying to save money. And I hate that sort of feeling where somebody hasn't understood. So my husband said, well, we're not going to eat because there's not going to be anything that my daughter can have. And the two of us are not going to go along. And I think also, as children get older, they look around to see everybody choosing whatever they like. And then my daughter can have a jacket potato and baked beans. So I don't want to keep putting her into that situation. So he said no to that, and we were going to meet them afterwards. And then early on Saturday, I got a message from my sister-in-law to say there'd been a bit of a change of plan, and could we go out to hers and have cake and tea. So me and my husband are on this fast, aren't we? And my daughter can't eat the cake. So they'd very thoughtfully got some jelly babies for her to have. And I didn't say, I was on the fast. I just said, would it be possible for us to take our bit home? And they said yes. So we took ours home. So it was really nice to see my nephew and give him his present and watch him open his cards. And then they went into the city because they'd booked some activities. And then they were then going for dinner, and we came home. And then on Sunday we had church in the morning that continued with them talking about the importance of the light, which was a good message. And then we came home and spent the day at home. So my daughter was revising for an exam. My husband did some jobs in the house, and I did some cleaning and sorting in the house. We decided not to have, do you remember last week, my husband did this lovely brunch as well as a full roast dinner. Yeah, that was a bit too much for him to spend all this time cooking. So we just had brunch, and then we had a more straightforward dinner. When I say more straightforward, I mean it's just like less work. There's quite a lot of work involved in a roast dinner, I always think. Not that I've ever done one, but my husband having to prepare all the vegetables and sort out all the chicken or whatever. I always think it seems like it's quite time consuming, and there's a lot of washing up afterwards. So we had something a little bit easier. So you'll see me in a minute in the video going through the cupboard. So I managed to get rid of some glasses. Now I'd say all the glasses in my cabinet in the lounge I haven't used for over a year. So I did feel like I could be strict and get rid of some. Also there's a couple of toys that my daughter was happy to get rid of. There was quite a big soft toy that she's had for quite a while that she used to use as a pillow, and she went to use it last night and she said, it's dusty. And it's the sort of thing that if you wash it, the filling, the sort of soft toy filling would all go into like little lumps. So I knew that wouldn't wash very well. So we got rid of that, and then also got rid of some clothes. There's 2 bags in my husband's boot, which haven't yet been taken to the charity shop. So my hope is that I manage to fill another bag up, and then by the time I go to the charity shop, there'll be 2.5 bags full. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my choices for charities for the ad revenue for the month of January and February. Now for the month of January, I'm going to give anything that I get minus taxes to a charity called Star Throwers. Now Star Throwers is a small local cancer support charity. It's based in a place called Wyndham in Norfolk, and it's dedicated to providing support for people with cancer and their loved ones. And the charity did support my friend many years ago. They do different types of treatment, they give advice on diet, and they really do make a difference. And they're so small, they don't get the benefit of some of these big cancer charities or the national funding that they get and people raising money for them. I often think with some of these big cancer charities, when was the last time they made any sort of breakthrough? And I certainly don't agree with some of the cancer charities doing cake sales to raise money when we know that sugar is one of the leading causes of cancer. So Star Throwers, why are we called Star Throwers? And what they say on their website is after a heavy storm, a boy walked along the beach throwing washed up starfish back into the sea. As he walked along, he stopped, saw the starfish, picked it up and threw it as far as he could beyond the waves. But on the beach there were a couple of benches and an old man sat watching him, and the old man shouted to the little boy, "There are too many of them. It won't make a difference." As the little boy picked up and threw another starfish back into the sea, he smiled at the starfish and at the old man and said, "I made a difference to that one." And that was why it was called, the charity was called Star Throwers, because they make a difference. Can't make a difference to everybody, but can make a difference wherever they can. And it's adapted from Lauren Esley's The Star Throwers. So I'm guessing that's an actual poem. I've not read that poem, I should look that up. So that is a charity that I'm supporting for the month of January. So any money that I get minus taxes will be going to Star Throwers. I'll see how I go. I might do Star Throwers again later this year. And then for the month of February, someone has mentioned about a charity called Family Fund. Sharon Mummy mentioned a charity called Family Fund. Now I looked up this charity and they help families who are caring for children who are disabled or seriously ill. So young people and children. And their kind of ethos is they want these children to have the same options and the same possibilities as any other children. And they give grants to people who are like on low incomes and things. So they say they want children to have the same choices, the same quality of life, opportunities and aspirations as all children. So that will be the charity that I will support for the month of February. So please know that any videos that you watch of mine, by liking my videos, by commenting on my video, by watching an old video, that's all going to help increase the amount of money that I make from the ad revenue. I don't make a large amount of money. Sometimes it's around £80, sometimes it's been £50, sometimes I think the most it's been is 100 and something, but I think every little helps, doesn't it? So I'm going to have to pay tax on all of this, so I do need to take the tax money off, but I'll take the tax money off and then donate the money to them. So thank you for the suggestion, Sharon Mummy. So I hope that you're all well, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. Please do drop in the comments what you've all been up to. I think many places around the world are experiencing lots of snow. We're quite cold here, but we've not had any snow as yet. I'm going to go through some of your comments now. So thank you so much to those of you that add comments to my channel. Whether you just put a thank you for the video, Emma, or some of you put very detailed comments, I love reading them. I really enjoy reading them, and I like it when I switch my phone on in the morning. I think, oh, someone's added a comment to my video, and I really enjoy reading through them. So I'm going to read through some of them to you. So the first comment that I'm going to read through is from Rainey Milliman. Rainey says, "Hi Emma, you sure got my attention when you went through your freezer. I had a similar situation with things that I would forget about in the basement freezer. I think it's about the same size as yours. I did start to make a point of asking my husband to bring up one thing or another and got most of the older items cooked up. But there was a tri-tip steak and a packet of ribs that I kept overlooking. I finally got to the steak a couple of weeks back. I didn't know how to prepare, but I found a recipe online and we just had the ribs this week. They were both delicious. They were both wrapped really well, so no freezer burn. You better sit down. The dates on both of these items were pre-pandemic, 2019. There was nothing wrong with either of them, no bad smell or anything like that, and both tasted just fine, and nobody suffered any repercussions. I'd also used up several items in the upstairs refrigerator and freezer earlier in December, so I feel like I'm a bit more in control of what we have available. Regarding saving money, we take out bills and monthly expenses and then put some amount into savings each month, depending upon our shopping and gas needs. That's petrol, I think. If we have a bit extra at the end of the month, that goes into savings also. By doing this, we had enough savings to pay for the materials needed for the shed repair last summer, plus our extreme increase in house insurance premium and the second half of our property taxes, without needing to put anything on a credit card. I've been slowly rebuilding it up again. You're doing a great job exercising those decluttering and tidying muscles, and I'd like to send prayers to Rebecca and family. I pray for continued healing and strength." So thank you for your lovely, lovely comment, Rainey. In terms of the foods, you made me smile with the 2019. I do regularly eat old things, and my dad is often telling me about various things that he's eaten which are out of date but fine. But unfortunately, some of my items that were really old had basically turned to like dust. They were really, really light in weight, like the food that you buy from these space places. Like we went to JF Kennedy Space Centre, I think it's called, the year before. And we bought like ice cream, and you can buy foods there, and they like are literally dust. I'd say that some of those salmons in my freezer are really old. Although, can you believe I've got all these packs of salmon, haven't I? And my husband came back from the supermarket with a pack of salmon, and I was like, "Oh man, you bought more salmon. We've got like 4 packs of salmon." So he said, "Yes, but they're in the freezer and we haven't got time to defrost them." So I'm going to make a point of getting some of those things out today. So we will be having salmon either today or tomorrow. So I'm determined to clear out some of the freezer. It's silly, isn't it, having all these things in the freezer and you don't really know what's in them. Also, in terms of the savings, that sounds very, very sensible. To save, make a point of taking out sort of expenses and regular bills and then save amount of money afterwards, and then depending upon the need you might have a bit more to save. I'm a bit strange with my savings, but I have lots of different accounts for different reasons. So I put money every single month into for my salary and for my husband's salary into my daughter's university accounts. Then I have a savings account for what I call treats. So if, for instance, we decide to go to London, that account would be used for paying to entrance to get into an exhibition or an art gallery or something. So then I don't have to use it from that month's salary, if you see what I mean. And then I have savings accounts for basically everything. I have another one for holiday. I have another one for me saving up for my house in Italy, which I'll get there one day, you never know. So I just do lots and lots, and they're like little, I don't know how to explain it. They're just like little tiny accounts linked to my main accounts. And I think the people in the bank, building society, think I'm a bit crazy. But that just means that I know where different things are. And I like it like that. and I can see, okay, I said to my husband, we've got this amount for our summer holiday. And then we know where we are with that. Next comment is from Andrea Sohill. Andrea says, that looks amazing. I can't wait to get my prayer card. What is surface mail versus air mail? Air is by flight, but what surface? Yes, CO is Colorado. So I just said back to Andrea, so surface is by boat, and that's why they say that can take up to 40 something days. But I know for a fact, well, I know what happens, because when I send things to New Zealand, I've sent them by surface, and then my cousins messaged me about 5 days later and said, oh, your parcel's arrived for the girls. So what happens often is Royal Mail just put the surface items in the same bag as air mail. But I think that's for Australia and New Zealand. I'm not quite sure what happens with America, because I think some of you from America have got your prayer cards and some of you haven't. So I'm not sure what's happened there. So it might take up to 40 days. If it goes missing in the post, Andrea, I'd send you another one. But we've got to hold fast because we're not anywhere near 40 days yet. Hopefully it will arrive soon. We've got another message. Diane Collins has just joined us. She's watching from Southampton. Welcome, Diane. Sandy says, you make me feel tired watching you. Your house is looking well. Now, I got Natasha commented on my post, and this is a really, really good idea, which I had not thought of. So this is N. Shawnee, and Natasha says, hello, I hope you're well. This could simply be a different way of describing what you will be doing, especially England versus American English. Please disregard if this is what you meant. You mentioned removing the water from the toilet bowl. Instead of removing the water, you can push it down with your hands or with the help of a sponge or rag. I find it easiest to push the water forward to the drain and then hold my hand at the drain for a moment to keep the flow going down the drain before pushing more water. Or you could use a plunger to force the water down. But if you still find removing the water from the bowl the easiest for you, that'll be best. Have a great weekend. So I don't find it at all easy, Natasha, removing the water. It absolutely takes ages. I get a bottle that I've used for toilet cleaner. I squeeze out all the air, then I put it into the toilet, and obviously that then sucks up the water. And that takes quite some time to do that. So I thought, actually, if I get a really big sponge, the sort of sponges that my husband's finished with when he cleans the car, so if that's just before that's going to go into the bin, I could use that. Push that down the toilet. That will then leave all the lime scale free to have cleaner put on it directly. It was an excellent idea. Thank you very much. That is absolutely what I'm going to do. So you can see me in the lounge at the moment. Did you see me looking through the Lego? I started looking. I'm not a Lego builder anyway. I'm not particularly keen on building Lego. I'm not particularly keen on following instructions, etc., etc. So I started looking in that Lego pot and I thought, oh, this is too big for me to deal with. So I think we're going to do this as a joint activity. The three of us for an hour. I'm quite happy to sort through bits. I'll sort out all the piles of coloured bits, or I'll sort out all the unusual shaped bits, or whatever they want me to do, and they can then build. I think that would take me absolutely forever. To cut anything, to make an inroad into that Lego is going to take me ages. So I then decided, well, what I need to also do is clean out the grate. I've had quite a few fires in the lounge and I hadn't cleaned the grate out. And it's quite funny because my daughter came to watch me. I don't think she remembers. She's probably not seen me do this. I've probably done this at school in the past. So she came to watch and asked me various questions about what I was doing. So in a minute you will see me, I put it on normal speed whilst I'm just finishing off. But you can see I thought, well, I'll use those food bags because those food bags do disintegrate. And my daughter said, oh, what are you going to do with the ash? So I said, well, you can actually put it on your flower beds. It's quite good for the soil, but today I'm putting it all in the bin. So I'll probably put it into, I don't know if I'll put it in the food bin. or whether I'll just put it in the rubbish bin, probably in the rubbish bin. So you can see that I've got a couple of missing tiles there, but you don't normally notice that because that's where the fire sits over the top, or the fire grate and so on. So you can see how much slower the video was on, and by me just doing it in slow time there. Now the reason why I was going quite slowly with the brush, you couldn't notice on the camera, but there was quite a lot of dust coming up. Now if you deal with that quite slowly, the dust goes up the chimney. It's drawn up the chimney and back out into the air. Whereas if I'd have done it really quickly, it would all come back out into the room, which of course I don't want a load of extra dust in the room. Now I am quite pleased that my husband has cleaned my hoover. So you'll see me use my little handheld hoover. It's working much better because he's cleaned it all out, cleaned all the kind of the front part of it with the brush. So it's picking up much better and lasting for much longer. So I think part of the problem was that it was working overdrive, and obviously the motor was working much harder because it all needed to be cleaned out. Next comment was from Tracy Forth. Tracy says, I love the Traitors. My daughter wanted to be an archaeologist and then a detective, and she ended up in film and television production. Wow, she loves it. She's done very well. That must be a very interesting job. That's the thing, when you're a child, you don't realise, do you, the vast range of different careers that you can go into. And very rarely do people get a job, do their degree and then go straight into a job. Obviously, if you do medicine, you become a doctor, or do education, you become a teacher. But often people will get a degree or qualifications and they'll get one job, and then they'll do a bit of a diagonal move to the left, right. I used to explain that to my nephew, and he'll still say, I don't know what I want to do. And he's in his late 20s now. And I said, well, it's kind of at school, and I think they teach everybody that you're going to do a certain qualification and get a certain job. And life is not quite like that. Teresa says, hi Emma, you are doing so well in keeping your routine and getting rid of stuff. You are very busy with your jobs, as is your husband. I see he helps out a lot, and if you are happy with that, then that's all you need. I love seeing your daughter's pretty clothes and the pink jersey flower dress I bought from Bowden for my 2 granddaughters. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I do like Bowden clothes. What I'm pleased about is they do go up to like a decent age in the clothes that she likes. Where some places like H&M, I don't know if you have H&M I don't know if it's just in the United Kingdom, H&M. Oh no, because they're in Europe. But yeah, like in H&M, all the clothes that go up to the age of 10 are really lovely, and my daughter still wants to be wearing those clothes. But the children's clothes from like 11 to 16, you don't really see anything other than black. Things like Nirvana t-shirts and that sort of thing. That's not the sort of thing she wants to wear. So I love the fact that Bowden has still got colours and still pretty dresses. But because she's going to be 13 this year, so she does still like pretty clothes. But I'm not sure whether her tastes will change. She does wear her jeans, but she also likes skirts, and she's quite pleased with herself on Saturday when it was the birthday celebrations. She was wearing these leggings with pictures of dogs all over them from Bowden, and then a pink t-shirt, and then we got her some short dungarees. So she had the dungarees over the top of the leggings, and then she had her brand new boots. So she was quite pleased, I think. She's definitely taking more of an interest in her clothes. She still wants help, like, what should I wear today, Mummy? But she definitely knows what she wants to wear and what she doesn't. It does make me laugh because I'm quite happy buying the things for my daughter from Bowden, but the adult clothes I'd never dream of buying. I look at them and think, well, they're far too expensive. It's funny how you don't mind buying something for your child, but you wouldn't necessarily buy it for yourself. Brooke says, I tried to keep adding comments as the video played, but I didn't get it posted before the video ended. So let's see what I can remember. I love Brooke's post. She comments about so many different things, and then I want to reply to it. But the problem is, when you click on reply, I have a really small window. So I can only see like 3 sentences. So when people do a slightly longer post, I can't reply to it all in one. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but... So Brooke says, I've been following you for about a year and I don't believe I've ever seen you with your hair down before. Oh, really? That's interesting. I do have my hair down quite a lot of the time, but perhaps when I'm about to do housework, sometimes I grab a hairband and pull it all back, perhaps. I'm not sure how it is everywhere, but in rural Nebraska, schools apply for a grant to pay for band instruments. My school owned both an alto and a tenor sax, so I played them for free. By the time my last year of high school rolled around, I was working quite a bit and just wasn't interested in having to do solos for jazz band, so quit. Louise, I'm sorry to hear that your trip to Sydney is postponed. We've been so focused on the election in America that I hadn't even known what was going on in Australia. Does your daughter want to be a large or small animal vet? There was a show on in the United States for several years that features 2 of the veterinarians who see our animals. We purposely scheduled appointments for when they were filming, as we didn't want to be on TV. But there was a glimpse of our farm, and my cousin Jimmy brings in his dog as a blood donor on one episode. Their show was called Heartland Docs, DMV. Thinking about the comments you made about monkeys brought to mind the phrase, not my circus, not my monkeys. If your husband brings a clean laundry up to the landing, your only responsibility should be to put away your own clothes. They are both perfectly capable of doing that chore themselves. I think our role as wives and mothers is to teach our family members to notice what needs to be done and do it, or to ask what you need help with. My foster sons put their own laundry away starting at age 3. When 4 to 5 years old, the boys would help sort socks, since that was my least favourite chore. As preschoolers, they also brought their dirty dishes to the sink and scraped off any bits that needed disposing of. All 3 of us have been sick this week. Oh, I'm pretty sure that is from the drastic weather change that ended on Tuesday around noon. As the weather has warmed up, my pain has decreased. I honestly think that in the future I'm going to have to spend the winter somewhere warm. One of my former clients shared that her mother, who has similar health issues to me, moved to Central America and no longer has these problems. I think it's really interesting the impact on the climate can have on health. Very, very interesting. So my husband's got a problem with his back that he's had for many, many years. and it really gets quite bad when he's going on a walk. So like if I say to him about going on a walk in the evening, he has to do various stretches, and that just causes a lot of problems. Particularly when it's cold and windy and damp and rainy. When we went to Florida, he didn't have any problems for the entire time. It's incredible, isn't it? Really, really incredible. So I do quite understand what you're saying, Brooke. I think the weather can really affect us. In terms of your comment about what Nebraskan schools do, I think that's really interesting. So when I was at school, to begin with, my violin lessons were free, and obviously borrowing the instrument was free. And then they brought in a one-off charge, I think probably because some children parents were unreliable, and because it was free they then didn't turn up to some of the lessons. So I think it then went to like £10 a term. Then it went to £20 a term. And then sadly, with all the cuts that we've had and people not putting any sort of weight of importance on music and learning instruments, now there's only private. There's no subsidised lessons at all. Oh, well, I say at all. I do know one school that did the lessons slightly subsidised, but otherwise you're going to be paying £20 for 20 minutes. In terms of my daughter being a large or small animal vet, she's not quite sure, but she would quite like to work with zoo animals. So it's a slightly different qualification that she'd need to do there. I did sort of say to her, well, if you want to work with larger animals, then you need to be prepared to drive quite a lot, because how many elephants live in Norfolk? So we had a bit of a conversation about that. You're right about the chores, but the difficulty is there's no space for my daughter to put her clothes away, and my husband also finds his drawers quite difficult to put things away. So that we do lack space to make things. If there was a lot less in the drawers, that would make it a much easier. Now, you writing about your foster sons reminded me about a post that you added, which I tried to find many times, Brooke, and couldn't. The one where you said about how people didn't really understand the connection that you had with your foster sons, and they were someone was a bit sort of dismissive in terms of you didn't really understand. And of course, with foster children, you do build up a connection and you care for them. How long did you have those foster boys for? Sounds like they were quite little when they were first with you, or maybe did they stay a couple of years? Wonder what happened, and I wonder whether you're still in touch with them. So I hope you all feel better, because you were unwell this past week, so hopefully that is to do with the weather, and you all feel much better very soon. Louise Tilbrook says, Happy Australia Day. You should come to Adelaide on your holiday. I used to really want to go to Australia. I was really keen. I used to talk about it and say, like when I was in my 30s, I'd say, I want to go to Australia for my 40th birthday. I think it was a book that I read, a Neville Shute book I read as a child, that really meant that I was very interested in going to Australia. I just feel like now I've got so many places that I need to see in Europe. And there's so much to see and do in Europe that I don't tend to think about going further afield. Obviously, we've been to America a few times. And my cousin's getting married in New Zealand, and I've been asked, would I like to go to the wedding? Problem is, I'd have to take my daughter out for 2 weeks because it's the beginning of November. So I couldn't go all the way to New Zealand just for a few days and then come all the way back. So I'd have to take her out of school for a few weeks, which I don't think we'll be able to do. Carrie Rawson says, Hi Emma, I always say what my mum says to my husband. You married me, not employed me. I can go out and come home to a clean house, washing done, the lot. He's a keeper, lol. Keep up the good work, your home is looking beautiful. I noticed that actually when I was at family members at the weekend, I watched and saw how my sister-in-law's partner, he just started washing up and nobody had said anything to him. He just saw the washing up and did it. And I sort of laughed and said, oh, you saw the washing up. And he said, oh, I can't go out without the washing up done. I just guess it is down to what people see and whether people see what needs to be done or whether people need to be told. I wonder what would happen if for a week I didn't do anything without being asked. What do you think? Should I do that as a challenge or would that put me back to square one? I think that'd be really interesting. I'm not going to do any washing. I'm not going to wash up. I'm not going to do any tidying or any sorting unless I'm asked to do it. And then see what happens. I think that would be quite an interesting challenge. What do you reckon? So I'm getting towards the end of my video now. So thank you very much for watching my video, for liking my videos, for commenting. Very, very much appreciate it. And actually I talked so long today, I had to get up in between while I was doing the voiceover and I had to go and do some clearing up in the kitchen because I talked for too long and I needed more video. So I'm going to finish off in the kitchen, so you'll see that on the next video. And then I'm going to start doing some more work on the loft room, which really has got into a bit of a state. So I'm going to spend some time on that this morning. And then even though it's Monday, I've got to do some work this afternoon. So thank you very much for watching my video and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!